On Saturday, April 23rd, the Weston County Museum District held a butter-making demonstration at the Red Onion Museum in Upton that showcased two different techniques. Anita Shepperson used an updated version of an old crank butter churn, while Maggie Makowski used a quart mason jar. According to Shepperson, you only need a little raw milk and a jar or churn, and you can make your own butter.
If you don't have a quart jar, you could use an old juice or iced tea container, anything with a tight lid.
You need to let your milk set, Shepperson said, and let the cream rise to the top. Then I use a ladle and gently scoop off the cream, separating it from the milk. She said that you have to let the milk come to room temperature before you start churning, so that the fat molecules will begin to cling to each other and come out of the watery part of the cream, the buttermilk. Several people gathered to watch the duo churn the milk into butter and, of course, buttermilk. Shepperson cranked the butter churn slowly, while Maggie gently shook the quart jar. All you do is agitate, Shepperson said, a medium to slow speed. It will start to get thick as the fat molecules separate from the water and cling together. She said that if you churn too fast, you mix air into the cream, and that will cause it to turn into whipped cream. Makowski said you don't need a big jar to make butter by gently shaking the cream. Anything with a tight lid would work fine. You shouldn't fill the jar more than half full, she said, but you also don't want to pump air into the cream. Makowski also said that if you start with less cream, it will make the butter making process faster. But you end up with a lot less butter, she joked. Both ladies indicated that the vital part of the process was to take your time. Slow and steady is the way to make butter. But even at the deliberate pace they set, it only took each of them about 20 minutes to turn their cream into butter and buttermilk. Once the butter floats on top of the buttermilk, you want to strain it. This is just a piece of cheesecloth, Jefferson said, and a normal, everyday kitchen colander. Once both women carefully poured their mixes through the cheesecloth, catching the buttermilk in a simple glass bowl, they were left with a good-sized lump of butter in the cheesecloth. This is not how much you're going to end up with, Shepperson said as she showed the mound of butter in the cheesecloth. There's still a lot of water in the butter. All I do is gather up the cloth and squeeze it out.
So once you get your butter to this point, I use either tap water, cold tap water, or put your water in the refrigerator so it's real cold. And we're just going to break it apart. This is a butter paddle, and you do not have to have one of these either. A wooden spoon or your hands will work.
So you just pour cold water on top?
Yeah, and what we're doing is we're just rinsing the buttermilk out of it. If you don't do that, it will sour.
Oh.
So you just want to work this around and make sure, and you can tell it's real creamy colored if you've got some in there.
The last step was to press and fold the butter in on itself, almost like kneading dough. Shepperson uses a large wooden spoon to fold the butter, which also forces out the little bit of water remaining in the lump of butter. After Shepperson poured the excess water off, she lightly sprinkled the butter with salt and folded that into the lump as well. Makowski then spread butter on some bread for the audience members to taste. Everyone said that it tasted great, and those who watched even got to take some butter home with them in little plastic cups. Because it is legal to purchase raw milk in Wyoming, there is a desire to perform other demonstrations. One idea that Shepperson mentioned was a cheese-making demonstration. While most cheese takes some time, days in fact, she said that making cottage cheese or ricotta would be something that could be tackled in the future. This is Walter Sprague reporting for the Newsletter Journal.